It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes. So let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week, we're diving into the Borderlands with the first trailer for the movie. Not the game, but...
Is that what they do in the game? Is there a diving mechanic? I've never
There's
played
not a
it.
diving
Is there
mechanic.
A lot of water?
And it's not even called Borderlands. The planet's called Pandora, so... we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end of the show. Because I've played all the games. I actually love it, so we'll talk about.
This is great. I actually didn't know if any of us had played the game, so I'm glad we have an expert.
I've played them all of them across multiple generations, so we'll talk about it later. Mike, you sent this to me, and it became popular after you sent it to me. Batman Beyond concept art looks amazing, and we're going to talk about what that means for that movie and its potential hope. Actually, it's not dead yet. Avatar: The Last Airbender arrived on Netflix in live action form this week. We got a little bit. We didn't watch it all, but we're going to talk about our impressions here at the top of the show and more.
Yeah, we've Chris and I have had a fun week ordering, expecting, and enjoying many different flavors of Coca-Cola.
Yes,
it is a whirlwind. As you know, if you're a listener of this show weekly, Chris and I love to indulge in like the new fad flavors of snacks and treats that we can find here, at least in America, and sometimes overseas. I feel like sometimes we get a little wily and we'll order something in across the border, like from Canada.
Like over Christmas, I went to the local candy shop and I picked up their mystery box of Japanese Kit Kats. Was like a cube. Opened up, there's only 5 flavors. 10 of each 5 is a 50-pack, 10 of each of 5 flavors. So that was super disappointing. But I do love some foreign candy occasionally. Once a year, twice a year.
And right now, Chris and I are both drinking different, unique flavors of Coca-Cola.
That's right.
Kind of unprompted. I mean, Chris, you can do like a more intensive rundown of all of the different flavors that you have tried. But right now, I'm drinking the more widely available Coca-Cola Spiced, which is like raspberry and... I think there's like some extra like clovey
spiced raspberry is what it's called. So or the flavor.
I'm looking at the bottle and it just says spiced. So
on the left does it say raspberry and spice flavors?
It does say but if you're looking at the main logo lockup, it does just say a spice, which makes me think actually now, Chris, I'm analyzing the label now. The spice could just be a new moniker, could be a new label. Mm-hmm. So maybe like this season it's raspberry, maybe a later season they do like a mango or a blackberry or something like that. That could be in the future.
One of the things you'll also notice on that, unlike the one I'm drinking of, it's not limited edition. Spice is supposed to be a permanent addition to the Coke family. So you may have something on there.
And it's good. Chris and I both really, really like this flavor. I always drink the zero sugar one.
Yes.
So
same.
Even the zero sugar one I'm digging. And be on the lookout because it looks very suspiciously similar to like the cherry label because it has that kind of like that raspberry hue.
Yeah, it's a deep red. It's a deep red in the black font, so it even looks like a zero bottle sometimes.
Yeah, it's really hard. You might actually buy it on accident, thinking you're getting a Coke Zero Cherry. But Chris has what we both ordered earlier this week, and mine is lost in the mail somewhere. Yeah. So Chris, tell everybody what you're doing.
So Coke has those limited creations they come out with every couple months, 6 months or so. I believe the last one was like called Dream World, I believe. So the new one,
I've honestly lost track, but that definitely was one.
Yeah, absolutely. So the newest flavor is called K-Wave, and you have to order it from their website to get it rather than the store. And K-Wave, it is a fruity fantasy flavored Coca-Cola. And I enjoy it. It doesn't have an overpowering flavor, so I would say spiced isn't overpowering, but you're not getting a regular Coke at the top of the bottle.
I mean, Chris, you're missing the most important component.
I know.
K-Wave,
yeah, I know. It's I was gonna get there, but it's subtle and very smooth, like my favorite K-pop songs. Mike is what I was going because it's a K-pop flavored thing. It actually came with a bunch of stickers as well, which I thought were really cool, like the raised stickers, like the textured ones in the box. Mike hasn't gotten his box yet. I got 2, but K-Wave Limited, a K-pop collaboration, fruity flavor. It's really good. It's subtle flavor. I enjoy it.
Has the K-pop just infatuation hit the malls of Middle America just yet? Because we have a mall out here, at least in the Galleria over here in Glendale. There's like a random like K-pop fan store, but it's not like one of those established mall stores. You know, you can tell like, oh, somebody rented this space that used to be like a K Jewelers or like what's the other like jewelry store where kids get their ears pierced?
Claire's.
It's like Claire's. It looks like an old Claire's. Like they don't have quite enough merchandise to fill the volume of the store, but it's just full of a bunch of K-pop stuff. So
let me tell you,
I'm sure if they could sell the Coca-Cola, they would.
I've not been into a mall officially probably since COVID. Like literally. Any chance I can avoid crowds of people, I'm going to at this point in my life. So
unless it's a theme park, though.
Well, that's not really a mall, though, is it? That gives me some breathing room. In a mall, it's a little claustrophobic. I've been to one or two. The candy store I went to in the middle of the day it was fine, but like I've not really been into a mall. But like
I swear we're adults, folks.
Yeah,
we're talking about going to the mall, candy store.
I bought video games yesterday. Okay, people, let's not sugarcoat this. But yeah, I think one of the things we have a lot of FYEs. We have 2 FYEs in my town, and they have their K-pop areas of the store when you go in those to get that. So absolutely. And me, Mike, I'm a Blackpink fan. I don't know if you knew that or not. I enjoy me some Blackpink. Beyond that, what was the other? BTS. My wife enjoys them. But we're not K-poppers here, if I'm gonna be completely honest. But that brings me to my third Coke flavor, Mike. That is only available in the TikTok
Chris,
shop.
wait, I had a transition for you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
You might not be K-poppers, but some of us could be TikTokers.
Well, yes, but I'm not a TikToker, so this is actually this isn't going to work out very well. So the next flavor of Coke is only available in the TikTok store, and I do not have one. My wife does not have one, but my sister-in-law, God bless her, does, and was able to order me Coca-Cola Happy Tears, which is only in the TikTok store. And
which is insane title. Before you even get into it, Chris, what an insane title for a product. But obviously, they're at least meeting the consumer at the store that they're shopping at. I mean, Happy Tears seems very much Gen Z, maybe overlapping a little bit with the burgeoning Gen Alpha. You know, they're meeting their consumers.
And so you might be asking, Chris, what is Happy Tears? Well, it's a salty peach flavor, if you will. Not overly salty. Me and Mike had a conversation about how salty drinks can be already before we got onto the show. But it's not like someone pours salt in your drink. It's not, electrolyte filled. But it's there a little bit. It kind of cuts up the acidity of a regular Coke, if you will, in that regard. And it's got a subtle peach. It feels very clear, very light Coke, and I really enjoy it. But I will tell you, the packaging for Coca-Cola Happy Tears blew me away. Literally, in my job as someone who works in marketing, if I ever had the opportunity to design packaging, I would have loved to have been in the room when they came up with this, because
you sent me a picture of it. It looks really cool.
Yeah, so when you get it in one box, you open that box, there's another box. I'm like, great, they're really protecting these Coke cans. Open up, it's a metal briefcase. It's literally a briefcase with paper wrap around it and 2 keys, one that says Happy, one that says Tears on it. The keys actually don't open the briefcase, sadly. So you flip it up, open it, and inside it's like a foam insert, 2 Coke cans of Happy Tears, a long sleeve shirt dedicated to Happy Tears, and a bunch of stickers, I guess with like TikTok sayings or something to do with Happy Tears. It is like literally like if I don't know what it costs. My sister-in-law would not let me pay her back for it, but whatever it cost was well worth the money. Like, this was a huge packaging. The K-Wave Coke came in a cardboard box. It still had a great presentation, but it's there to transport you for Coca-Colas that you're going to drink. This was a whole experience, and essentially what they're wanting, probably someone to film it, put it on TikTok, right, and share their experience with it. One of the things about the design of Happy Tears is that there's looks like a teardrop falling down across the Coke can, and the logos and stuff, even the shirt. It's actually on the Coke can like that clear raised plastic, kind of like hot glue.
It's like a resin. Okay.
Yeah, it's like a resin on the can. It's a resin. It was a resin on the case as well. So they actually give it some texture to that. You want to when you touch it. So I was thoroughly impressed with that one, if I'm going to be completely honest. I did not think it would be as involved as it was for that experience. So absolutely, if you're interested in that, 2 cans on that in TikTok shop. K-Wave comes with 4 cans, and Spice you can buy in bottles, cans, and mini cans, I believe, at your local stores at this point. Yep. So if you wanted to call us your Coke dealers, we'll absolutely take that at this point.
At Superhero Slate, the Coke is flowing, but also the popcorn. And when the popcorn is flowing, Chris, you need a bucket.
Well, see, here's the thing. We're going to talk about Dune because we've talked about the Dune popcorn bucket already. However, you missed a chance for the Spice from Dune being an opportunity here. Now, I know you've
Chris,
not watched Dune.
I haven't seen these movies yet.
Yeah, I know. But Spice is a thing in Dune. Anyway, so Dune. Last night I watched Dune. Tonight I get to go watch Dune Part 2 at a fan screening. So we're recording this a little earlier on Sunday. Thank you, Mike. But my wife went to the theater to see if they had the the Ghostbusters popcorn holder, the trap, the proton trap, because I think that one's fantastic at AMC.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one. You sent me the Slimer one.
Oh no, yeah, they actually have a trap, and it comes with a plastic inset to hold the popcorn, so it's like the beams coming out of the trap of the proton trap. I think that's what it's called.
I'm looking
AMC,
it up right now.
Yeah, you gotta look at the AMC
I did not
one.
see
Yeah,
this one.
So I was like, hey, go check out if you can. She works close to the theater.
Whoa, man, these are getting so detailed. This is like a full-on movie prop that they've just created a plastic edition to hold popcorn.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks just like the trap. It's got a little thing on top that holds the popcorn. So she went to look. They actually had, she said at the AMC, a whole wall dedicated to movie popcorn stuff, or like, you know, I guess memorabilia you could buy. I think she said like some of the plushies and other things. But she was able to snag me the infamous Dune popcorn bucket and topper. And I will say, what they don't show you, they show you this thing together. It comes in 2 pieces. The topper is plastic wrapped. The bottom is metal. But inside the metal is gold shiny metal in that bucket, Mike, for the popcorn bucket. Like it's very much, again, gives you the idea of like the gold spice in Dune. I know you haven't watched it. You will see the gold spice when you watch Dune. But like it adds more, I guess, to it than you would think it was. Other than we're laughing at the little phalanges in the worm mouth that you put in to get the popcorn out of.
It is pretty funny. I feel like some movie marketer, I don't know if this is on the supply side of like AMC and Cinemark, or if it's some sort of like corporate merchandising person at the theaters, but somebody has latched into what theme parks have been doing for a while now, which is the collectible popcorn buckets. Yep. So give that person a raise for putting over a lucrative money-making idea.
Popcorn buckets are great, but I want a better drink holder. I want a collectible drink holder, Mike, that stands the test of time, other than just a cup with a straw in it. Or a topper, because to me, when I go to the parks, we get the big fancy cups at Disney World, right? We have an alien dressed up as Santa popcorn bucket, I believe, and a couple other Mickey ones that we've gotten over the years. But like, I really like a fancy drink holder is what I want.
Yeah, there seems to be a missing middle market for collectible drink cups. You either have like the very standard like plastic cup where they just like kind of wrap it with just some sort of graphic, you know, and it's like, oh, that's going to end up at a Goodwill, even if the person likes whatever it's wrapped in.
The outside comes off too, like it rubs off after time, so like, you know, like, it's like, not very sturdy.
Yeah. And God forbid it goes in the dishwasher.
You'll
and then
never
that'll
see it
just
again.
absolutely destroy it. And then at the way other end, you have the really nice ceramic like cups. You know, think of like a collectible like tiki mug or something. I think like is it Mondo? I think they used to do kind of stuff like that.
They had the Mandalorian tiki ones and all the Groot ones.
So, but it's like nobody wants to walk around with like shatterable cups just either at a theme park or at a movie theater. So like, why can't they find like a middle ground? I mean, it feels weird advocating for more plastic, you know, on planet Earth, but like if you make it nice enough that somebody wants to keep around, less likely to end up in a landfill, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you know, not every the popcorn buckets are just unwieldy, right? Some of them like, oh, I see how you eat popcorn out of this. Some I'm like, I don't understand this at all. And I think drink cups, you know, I'd reuse them. I reuse my theater drink cups all the time in my basement area. So they have way more reusability than I think popcorn buckets do. But who are we, Mike? We just go to the movies and buy the stuff. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. But
just some dudes at home watching Netflix.
Watching Netflix. I actually asterisk. I don't have Netflix still after all this time, but we did catch. I caught the first episode today. Mike, you've watched at least 3 episodes, if not more, since we've talked of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action adaptation, now on Netflix. And Netflix is just taken off with their anime adaptations. Right after One Piece. Again, we were not invested in One Piece before we watched the show. We watched the show, loved it. We're in. Avatar is here. They did what? I always mess up the names. Yu Yu Hakusho?
Yu Yu Hakusho. That one feels maybe slightly different because I think that's an entirely Japanese-based production. Yeah. So it's a little less Western-centric, and the Japanese have kind of been doing live-action adaptations for longer than kind of we have.
But still, it's on Netflix. Netflix bought it. They're producing it, right?
Correct.
Same with, was it Death Note years ago? Really, the only thing they haven't soiled or touched, either way, I don't know if these are good or not, is Dragon Ball. Thank God. So we're still safe on that regard. But Avatar: The Last Airbender, technically an American show drawn with anime style. So so that's cool. Out now with the live action. Mike, you are an Avatar fan. You are, of the two of us, you are invested in this universe. You know it. You love it. Me, my introduction to Avatar was the M. Night Shyamalan movie in 2009.
What a way to go.
Yeah, and I've only watched 3/4 of the animated show so far. And that's only been in the past maybe 2 years since I've lived in this house, and we've only been here coming up on 3 years. So you are way more knowledgeable and invested, and this is more to you. The show was made for people like you, not for people like me. So I'll let you go first because I think you've watched more, and I think you might have a little more to say.
Yeah, obviously we're gonna do this spoiler free. But also the source material has been out for a while, so I'll just kind of speak in more general terms of this. Just unfortunately isn't for me. After 3 episodes, the first biggest takeaway I get from the show is there's nothing that I'm being presented that's executed better than what was originally made in the animated series. Whether it just comes with the relationship between the characters, the acting, the action is a big deal. You can throw as much money as you want at the visual effects and try to make realistic flying bison hair, but at the end of the day, it's just the cartoon is so much more fun to watch. The way the action is choreographed and storyboard is just so visceral and exciting. And also, I've talked about this before on the show, but there's this magic trick that happens in an animated property where in an animated world, the audience can just let themselves go a little bit more, and they can give a lot more up to the story. So when more magical things happen, you don't question it as much because you're kind of watching this fantasy world. But when you're porting something over to live action, you just intentionally have to take everything so much more serious and accurate if you're going to hit this dramatic tone, which is kind of the opposite of One Piece. One Piece is such a wacky world that they ported that over into the live action, and it still works. But Avatar is a very serious narrative at times, with occasional comedic relief from characters.
And I think you nailed it on the head. The Avatar series, this first episode I watched, there's no fun in this at all, hardly at all. The first episode,
no.
It is setting the stakes for death, destruction, literally hopelessness, if you will, because the Avatar is the last hope of the world. But One Piece, they're pirates and they have powers that are based on a fruit they ate, but they're goofy about it, right? The optimism of Monkey Luffy is contagious, and he's yes, I'm gonna be the king of the pirates. We're always shooting for better. Avatar is the other thing. Hey, we are in the worst timeline possible. How do we fix this? So absolutely, they are complete polar opposites in tone out the gate.
Yeah. And that's just the execution, I would say, of the adaptation. The whole other part is just the straight up execution of making a TV show. The acting is awful. The directing is awful. I hope that the kids can age into the role a little bit more. And your pool of hiring is smaller when you have to, meet those age criteria. And all of these kids are obviously better at acting than I am, but like everything falls so flat. The exposition is out of control. Like I thought it would smooth out maybe after the first episode, because you give the first episode a bit of a pass because they gotta dump a lot on you, but everyone's telling you exactly how they're feeling. There's this hilarious moment. I can't remember if it's in the first episode, but it might be in the second, where Zuko and his uncle are like kind of on a beach, and they're just like, "Oh, where did this character go?" And this random merchant from nowhere that we've never met before just walks up like, "Oh, you want to know where this guy went? Oh, I think I saw him getting in a boat and he went that direction." And then the dude just walks away and you never hear from him again. It's just wild. So just on the simple execution of just making television well, they're not doing a good job. And I feel very, very odd about this, because I went out there on the internet just to see what the general tone was, and it seems to be very, very split. People seem to either be having a good time and they're just kind of, letting all of these problems, be pushed aside because they're just happy to have a somewhat competent live action adaptation. And there's other people that seem to be, on my side of the fence of just like the source material it's just so much better in every way. And when you think about adapting something like a book, right, the live action serves a purpose in a way of like, oh, we finally get to see what we read visualized, right? The world that we built up in our head, let's put it on a screen, let's put it out to a bigger audience, and let's see if we can kind of be additional to it, right? But like, we already have this adapted visually and and similar in a book longer, right? This is condensed to 8 episodes, so they have to take a lot of really iconic story points and put them all in like multiple episodes together. So yeah, this just unfortunately isn't working for me. I can't imagine going back and watching more unless they start doing some really crazy stuff and the internet gets like heated up. Maybe I'll pop into an episode here or there if they end up making more seasons, because maybe it would be kind of fun to see, oh, what does the guy with the laser beam on his forehead look like in live action if they end up making it to the 3rd season. But I'm just not invested in this. Chris, what did you think just with being a little bit more on the outside of this and just watching one episode?
I'm not watching more than one. I'll just put it out there. Like I tried to, I have nothing against the animated version. I don't remember the one from 2009 enough to care. Like, right, that was 15 years ago for me. And I wasn't affected then because I didn't care. So to me, watching this, I was like, there's what I remember, what I hate about just production journal things, this, like you mentioned, exposition. There's a scene where this old man tells Aang, "You are the Avatar." And then he goes and has a rant to Appa about it. And he's just talking out loud what we should already, like we should know this character and who he is and what he does and what he likes already after all this time. But I'm like, dude, it's been 10 minutes into the show. Like, we don't know anything about you, so you're just telling us rather than showing us those things. And that's a fatal flaw for anything, right? Like, you should show us in a show, don't just tell us in a show. I will say some good things. The bending looks delightful. I enjoy the bending. Like, early on, there's a earthbender versus firebender scene. I've not seen enough water, or in the air is fine, whatever. Aang can fly. This is going to be controversial, I think, to people. Kind of weird. He uses it sometimes, he doesn't use it other times. Perfectly weird. But like, there's just a lot of telling and not showing, and I think this show would be better, from my point of view, is if they just kind of started it off where the show halfway is, like with Katara, with Sokka, and then they find Aang and then through flashbacks or story points tell us what happened, rather than just start it out and give us everything.
And it's so funny that you say it that way, because that's exactly how they do it in the animated show. The show kind of starts out chronologically, because if you're not familiar, Aang is a character that kind of gets frozen in time, and we flash back to see his origin later in the first season, and the show starts off right back in that flashback. I mean, I can't fault necessarily the creators for trying to do something original or different with it, right? You don't want to exactly just do one-to-one exactly what the cartoon was. So, but like, there's like very just great structure to how that story is told. So this is just what I'm saying. It's just like if it's not broke, don't fix this. This feels so much similar to some of the live action adaptation of Disney movies, right? Of like strip all the magic and joy and wonder out of it.
Well, I guess I think you can't do it one for one, especially with like what the animated seasons are double. Were they like 16 or 20 episodes? I think so. Like you're condensing a lot. Absolutely agree. I think the actors to me are fine. I disagree with you on that, but I don't have any affinity for the actual ones in the show, the animated show, either. So I can't draw that line. But it felt so heavy-handed. And I hate to say it, literally like a lot of maybe Madam Web. Like it's just explaining a lot to us as viewers rather than just letting us experience it or showing it to us as you go. And right, that's the first episode. You might have to do some of that heavy lifting, but I've seen shows jump in and leave the mystery and the intrigue and like this magical world, show us the wonder and the joy of it, and then take away or with the hey, this was all lost years ago, rather than hey, we're just going to destroy everything now from the get go. One of the cool things I will say, Mike, and agree with me or disagree with me, don't matter. The Fire Nation, the brutality of the Fire Nation, way more apparent in this than I feel the animated show. Like literally burning people alive with their powers. Didn't really see a lot of that in the animated show. So,
and I kind of wish they would have leaned more into that, right?
Yeah.
You know, I always think about the Harry Potter movie franchise, where as the films progressed, they got darker, they got more mature because the audience got more mature. Like, I'm sure there are some kids watching this live action adaptation for sure. But I mean, the fan base, we are all grown. We're all grown, we're mature. And I think that would have been a great way to set yourself off from the source material of like have more of that. And just honestly, maturity in everything, like more mature storytelling. Trust the audience to pick up on nuance between storytelling and like you were saying, Chris, instead they just tell you everything you need to know because they're worried you're not going to get it.
I would say on the flip side, in contrast to One Piece, because that's what I'm going to look at this, for comparison, there was some weighty stuff in that. There's one episode, right, with the chef kid, right, like sitting alone with that dude who had to eat his own leg to like stay alive on the like they handled adult themes and mature things and like life and death fairly well in that show, without being as heavy-handed. But they also didn't start off heavy-handed. They didn't just take it away and say, oh, don't you remember the good times? No, I don't remember because you didn't show it to us, or give us any good times.
Yeah, or even like when Nami like breaks down, I think it's like maybe the last or second to last episode. Yeah, she's like stabbing herself just to like
cutting off the tattoo. She's cutting off the tattoo of whatever.
Yeah, and it's just like that was so intense, and it was earned over all those episodes. And then you have in the first episode, Aang finding Gyatso's like cartoon-esque skeleton, like Halloween prop, sitting on
his
the ground.
His mustache was still there, I'm pretty sure.
And it's just like, come on, man. So I'm not going to be surprised to find people out there that like it. Some people can just like, kind of push some of this stuff to the side and just like enjoy it for what it is.
I'm happy they're getting a competent Avatar live action version, because all they've had to sit on is literally the 2009 version, which is universally hated, right? If the world could come together on one thing, no one likes that movie. And so, they're getting something competent. Whether it's as good as the source of material, I don't know if you'll ever be able to cap that, right? Like you mentioned, people are fans of it, and that's peak. So, it may not get that good, but they're getting something.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And honestly, you can paint it as a win no matter which way that it went, right? If this would have been an absolutely amazing adaptation and everyone loved it and it became the next Game of Thrones, the original creators of Avatar, who aren't connected to this Netflix show anymore, they could have been applauded for creating such an amazing world and such in-depth storytelling that the live-action adaptation just had just an amazing source material to pull from. And congratulations to them for creating such an amazing narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And then if the live-action ends up being just absolutely horrible and terrible, that just goes to show you how impressive the animated original is, because they were able to tell this amazing story in this medium that a lot of people look down on and think is just for kids. So at least at the end of the day, even though I don't like it, I can think back to the original creators and congratulate them. And also, I can look forward to all of the animated expansion that they're going to do to the Avatar universe, which is great. So we're going to get more of the stuff that I like straight from the creators' mouths. And honestly, it feels like the Avatar stuff is best case scenario. I think it just gets 3 live action seasons. Netflix cuts their losses, and they just cut it because they'll cut anything after 3 seasons. And then if there's going to be more live action, it'll be, I would say, from Paramount Plus, but they might not exist.
No, I don't think. I think 3 seasons. You told your 3 books, right? Like, give them 3 seasons. Let them actually finish a story rather than cutting their loss at 1. They may be able to come back, right? Like something, here's our criticism. Fair point. Let's adapt for season 2 and season 3. And it could be something that starts off with. I just don't think it has an identity. I just don't think it knows what it wants to do. Does it want to lean into the cartooniness? Does it want to lean into the seriousness? And maybe they can find that footing in another season, right? Because you get the introduction of isn't it Toph, right? The Earthbender. The book 2 from the anime. So if I remember correctly, like Aang loses, like literally, like that's like the hero's journey. He falls and he doesn't come up to it. So season 3 is all about that redemption arc and like making characters. Like I know what's the Fire Kid's name. Zuko. He has a change of heart, right, in his thing. There's more characters introduced. So I think there's an opportunity for this to bounce back, but. Netflix has to give it. I think it's going to have watch numbers no matter what we say. People are watching this. So I think it'll get a 2 if they can listen to 2 or listen to the feedback and create a 2 that's better. There's still hope. I still think there's hope for this. So I'm not going to count it down and out yet, but I as someone who's not in this world, it is very hard to get me into this world. I said the only episode I wanted to watch based on the thumbnails, Mike, is episode 4. And that's because it's got that crazy Earthbender guy that Aang's friends with, who's like 100 years old or whatever. And they have that crazy town with all the slides and stuff in there. I'm like, I would like to see how they do that world or that city in that episode, because it'd be interesting to see more earthbending than just fire the whole time. We get it. So that's where I sit. That brings us to our next topic, which might ruffle some other feathers out there in the world. But Naruto, long-lived anime, is getting a live-action adaptation from Lionsgate. And it will be directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who is known for Shang-Chi in Legend of the Ten Rings. So, to me, I've never watched Naruto. Don't understand it. Never watched the sequel either. This is well out of my wheelhouse. I'm a Dragon Ball guy. You know that, Mike.
Yeah.
So,
Naruto is like the very next I would say graduating class, I feel like, after us, right? Like we were like Dragon Ball Z kids, right? And then like the next people behind us, like, oh, we're all on Naruto. Yeah. And very similar in a sense of like it ran probably just as long. It has its own kind of like spin-off series, cast of characters, character with a big ambitious goals. I've only seen maybe like 4 or 5 episodes, like when I would randomly catch it like on like Adult Swim or something like that, like late at night, or Toonami or whatever it was. So I am similarly as detached as you are, Chris, from this show. So I'm hoping for another One Piece experience where I have no affiliation with it. I don't really care how it's adapted. One thing that's really cool, Destin Daniel Cretton, he is an executive producer on a show that I'm watching right now, which I haven't brought up on the show just yet because I'm still working my way through the first season, called Tokyo Vice. It's a show that just kind of started its 2nd season on Max, and the only reason I knew about it is because they were promoting the 2nd season. So I went back and I was like, okay, I'll watch this, and it's this kind of fun, like late 90s drama of a guy, an American from Missouri, who moved to Tokyo, and he's the first foreigner to work at like I think it's called the Micho which is Tokyo's like #1 like newspaper. So it's back in the day, just kind of pre-internet. You know, he's trying to get to the underbelly of Tokyo and the Yakuza. It's a really fun show. So Cretton's not the creator of the show, but he's an executive producer. Yeah. So he's got his fingers in it as well. So we liked Shang-Chi. You know, well, I think for everything that it was, we liked it.
That's the one thing. You know, if I look at live action adaptations of this stuff, I've seen more clips of the old Avatar movie lately. You know, in comparison to Dragon Ball of that same era, Evolution. The fighting just not up to par, man. Just sucked so bad. And you know, looking back at Shang-Chi, one of the best parts is the martial arts, right? Like, and we know that he is working on you know, the second Shang-Chi. He's got a director and executive producer role on Wonder Man for Marvel, so like he knows his action scenes and he knows this stuff.
And he briefly was going to make one of those Avengers movies. Yeah. So that fell apart probably for many reasons. But yeah, seems like he's got the chops.
Yeah, if anyone can do something that I would probably watch and not have any investment in, it's probably him. Right? I'm like, yeah, I'll watch this. I'll check it out. Again, no investment, low stakes, low cost for me to enter into Naruto. I'm not wearing the headband though. That's all I remember are the people who love wearing the Naruto headbands. And what's the run where he puts his arms down and it looks like
that's the question,
the
right?
Naruto run. Yeah.
Nobody looks goofier in real life when they run like Naruto. So do you attempt to adapt that and make it look cool?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think you do. I think, you know, that was all part whenever we all rushed Area 51. Remember that? We all ran like that. So it's part of the world. But yeah, anyway, if anyone has any comments or thoughts on that, let us know, because we are well out of our league on that one. But back in our league, let's talk about this Superman Legacy, Mike. The first film coming out of the DCU from James Gunn, Peter Safran, written and directed by James Gunn, will begin filming this week after they had a cast table read. So sounds pretty cool, right? Like, to actually understand that it's actually producing for once, rather than someone on Instagram talking about it for days. And days.
It's so weird to think that there are dozens of people now that have read the script, know everything that's going to happen. And I just love to pick their brain and be like, is this the tip of the iceberg? Do you think there's enough here to launch an entire cinematic universe? There's so much weight that this script has to hold up. I'm so curious.
Yeah. Can this pull off? Are there too many characters already in this movie, Mike? I just... the next thing we're going to talk about is the photo from the cast read. You know, James Gunn said after the table read, he shows off the cast. You can see Nicholas Hoult with a shaved head back there, doing his best Lex Luthor. But, like, you know, I was like, which one's Superman again? Looking through this, like, we have so many people here, right? And Superman, he's in the back left, I think, in the hat, right? That's what I'm looking at. You know, Lois Lane front right. But, like, if I was to say I can pick out who's going to be his little buddy, the
Jimmy Olsen.
Jimmy Olsen. Other than that, couldn't tell you who anybody else is off this, right? Like, I feel this is I don't know. It might be crowded. He can probably pull it off. I'm not concerned, but, like, boy, there's a lot of people
here.
At least
about Gunn has always been very great at ensembles. Yeah. So that wouldn't really worry me at all. But yeah, it's crazy. There is a warehouse on a lot somewhere with all of these people, and they're going to start making this Superman movie.
So yeah, I expect to see some set photos. I expect to see some costume designs coming out of this, right? Like, if you can count on James Gunn for one thing, he's going to be putting stuff online every day while he's filming. So, so get ready for that. But you can check out that photo here, see the cast. Let us know if you know who everyone's going to be, because boy, this is going to be wild. This is going to be a wild ride next summer whenever we get to it. But the last vestiges of the DCEU are still out there, Mike. Apparently still in theaters. I think maybe not locally, but like internationally even. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will be streaming on Max this week, February 27th. So if you have Max, you can catch it there. But with it being still in theaters, it can still turn a profit, like a small profit, like a meager profit, Mike. Don't underestimate
that's-
Aquaman, I guess.
That's what all of these superhero movies want, right? Meager profits. That's how you know they're successful.
Well, here's the
This-
thing. They gave up on this 2 years ago. So, I mean, the fact it's even still here is exciting for me.
This is the Vegas bet, right, Chris? How long until this shows up on Netflix next to all the other abandoned DC movies? I'm giving it. I'm thinking July. I think like July 4th, this will hit Netflix and people will be like, "Oh, Aquaman, okay."
Yeah. Well, and laugh all you want. I think it's. I'd actually written this off well before it made a profit. I was like, yeah, we won't make it. I don't know anyone else. I don't know anyone else who saw this movie, Mike. If I'm going to be completely other than you and me, do you know anyone else who's talked about watching it, or any news articles that came out of this afterwards?
It's so funny. I have not heard a single soul talk about this movie in real life, and even on the internet. Like, so yeah, this made no cultural impact.
Yeah. But it is making a splash, wink, wink, in China. That's where all the money's coming from internationally. So still running. Like I'm really literally surprised it's still running in some of these countries. Just kind of checking out here. If there's any delayed release dates, Japan was January, but everybody else seems to be December. So some people are leaving this in theaters, and I think not just Aquaman: Lost Kingdom. We could talk about what was the that Pixar movie last year that did well. Elemental, leaving things in theaters longer than 15 days. I know we've been trained to look for them streaming, a month, 2 months later, but like you leave it in there it's been 2 months for this movie before it goes to Max. You could still probably make money off of it. You don't have to give up on movies the first weekend, right? And say no one will watch it, no one will ever see it because they didn't watch it the opening weekend. So I still think there's opportunity for people who just don't go the opening weekend and trickle in over time, if you will. Madam Web didn't get that. It dropped 64% on its second weekend, and it was already loaded.
Madam Web is going to be the first in association Marvel movie to end up like free on YouTube.
Free
Nobody wants to buy it. Like, yeah, they're just going to put it someplace where you can watch it for free.
Yeah. Well, it might be the only movie that they owe money on at the end of the day, right? But anyway, so yeah, Aquaman: Lost Kingdom. Right? If you haven't seen it yet, it's fine. It's not a travesty at the end of the day, like we were promised. So you guys can watch it on Max starting this week, February 27th. We've got an extra day this month, Mike, so that means you can take that extra day and watch this movie if you wanted to. But we've already seen it, so we don't need to do that. You sent this to me early in the week, and I saw it online later. Batman Beyond, a huge show. We sat at the panel, the anniversary panel at Comic-Con 2019. I've never watched this show, if I'm going to be honest. So
that shocks me more than anything, Chris. That you've yet to experience Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I downloaded it, but I haven't got there yet. But I can't pronounce this. Is it Yuki Dimmers and Patrick Harpin, who one of them, Yuki, was a production designer for Spider-Man, both Spider-Man movies. And Patrick Harpin, My Dad the Bounty Hunter. I don't know what that show is, or movie is. But they said 5 months ago they pitched an animated Batman Beyond movie to Warner Brothers. And what went from there's no way we can do this to maybe, and they're working their way through the hierarchy at DC to get to James Gunn and Peter Safran. I've now shared it online to get hype behind this, right, Mike? A lot of hype. Get the public behind it. And guess what? It looks good. This looks cool as hell.
Yeah. I mean, I know we can't necessarily trust all of Elon's numbers over on X, but this post has 4.3 million views. I don't know exactly what that equates to in a kind of Twitter-style universe, but the post is nice because it feels very earnest, right? This isn't necessarily the same energy that people are coming at Zaslav at with release Coyote versus Acme, right? This is more like, hey, we've tried to make this work. We've tried to pitch it. This kind of seems like a softer version of the Deadpool movie leak that created enough energy to get it made. So this seems like maybe this was advice given to them by like their agents or managers, like, hey, why don't you just make like a social media post with some of this concept art and see if you get some traction going.
We can't get James Gunn or Peter Safran's phone number, but you can tag him on Twitter because he's always on there. and see if he sees it, because I think 4.3 million views is great, but like I also think of all the embeds, the people who aren't logged in viewing this as well.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This has been on sites all over the place. These images are being downloaded and shared. It's really cool. To me, the first image really strikes out. You have Batman Beyond, like, looks like he's got his jet boots running from some sort of villain.
It's I don't remember the villain's name, but this is kind of the most unique, I would say, constant reoccurring villain.
Okay.
What
He looks like the Spot
or something like
he
that.
looks like the
Ink or
Spot,
something.
sadly,
Yeah.
but like it's got, to me, again, I hate this is not a complaint, this is a compliment. Into the Spider-Verse vibes, right? But like it fits Batman Beyond. It's future. It's like retro futuristic, if you will. It's not really futuristic, but it's retro futuristic from the show.
Yeah, it's like that retro kind of noir
Blade Runner kind of look.
Blade Runner type future. I think in a like an adapted style, kind of like Spider-Verse. Like you said, Chris, I also hate just equating everything to Spider-Verse, but it's just like when people say, oh, it's like the Uber of, ordering food, or it's the Uber of renting houses. This is basically like the Spider-Verse of Batman Beyond, and it would fit perfectly. Terry McGinnis, the character, also is such a Miles Morales archetype as well.
Yeah.
You got a kind of like a Padawan of the more established superhero, but carving their own path and doing it their own way with, familiar powers, but also different. So everything here is so perfect. And I will give credit where credit's due. Batman Beyond came before Miles,
Yeah.
So this was the trendsetter for this vibe. And also it's great because it's kind of set in the future, so you don't have to worry a whole lot about like, multiverses and stuff like that. You could do fun stuff where there are, I think if I remember right, there is like an episode, or maybe it's in the Joker movie that they made where Terry gets to meet an older grizzled Nightwing, which is pretty cool, but maybe time travel is involved. I don't 100% remember.
Yeah.
Either way, the concept art is really, really cool. It looks great. I mean, they might not be making, animated stuff a big priority right now, or at least things to compete directly with Sony Animation.
Yeah.
But it would be crazy to imagine this is not in some sort of tentative future plan. Right? After our phase 1 goes well, what should we consider doing for our phase 2?
I don't even think this doesn't need to be in the DCU. Don't do that. Like, put it like Spider-Verse, right? Into the Spider-Verse, across the Spider-Verse, they don't sit in the Spum universe, if you will, right? Like, they exist outside of it. They can do what they want. Take this and do what you want them. Because here's the thing. Turtles hopped on that train, right? Of the unique animation style with, young leads. Huge success, right? Enough to get a TV show and another movie coming down the road. Just hop on this bandwagon. Look where the money is. Like, the money's here, people. Like, just take our money. Like, we'll go watch it. You'll probably, the people behind it obviously have some love. The visuals, it's black, red, and white, right? What color are Miles suits? Black, red, and white. Like, literally, it's so parallel. Just do it. You're gonna make money no matter what you do with it, right? At the end of the day. So, I would hope it's good, but like at the same time, even if it wasn't, like, boy, this is just a missed opportunity not to take somebody up on this.
Oh my God, Chris! So I started clicking through some of the nested replies and retweets. The pretty popular account discussing film, they made a post about it that got 15.8 million views.
Yeah.
So this has, for all intents and purposes, in the nerd film community, has gone viral this week. So
Absolutely.
If it hasn't come across Gunn's desk, his assistants or people around him aren't doing their job.
He's probably got the keyword Batman blocked on his X profile.
Yeah. No one talk to me. I'm taking set photos with.
I'm answering other questions on X right now. Okay.
Yeah, I gotta let people know what brand of underwear Peacemaker will wear. They keep tweeting me.
I'm sorry. I'm only on Threads now. The James Gunn social network known as Threads. So. If it's not on Threads, he'll never see it. So get it over to him. But absolutely, check out those images in our notes. They look fantastic. In the same vein of Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, the game, has announced that the new Game Plus mode is coming April 5th. Mike, which will include mission replay, new suits, and the ability to choose your symbiote color for like the Venom tendrils and stuff, rather than just doing the black. I think that's cool. They're adding ultimate levels and golden gadget tiers to add something to that replayability other than just being maxed out and playing through the whole story.
Okay, so it's New Game Plus. It's not like additional DLC.
Correct.
Just yet.
Yeah, there's some DLC, but it's like suit designs from this. It's an organization, kids like underrepresented video game developers or designers, like, but so it's like $5 for some suits and all the money goes to them. But you don't have to buy it to enjoy the game. It's just the cosmetics. So I'm excited to dive back in after I've platinum trophied this thing. So it'll give me something to do and enjoy some of the stuff and tweak it a little bit. Just play around, really have some goofing around, if I will. So you beat it, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I couldn't remember, but yeah, absolutely. Be a good time. Probably, I expect, I don't think we're going to get, I don't feel if we're going to get proper DLC or not since that Insomniac leak last year. But, they could turn about face. But if they do, if not, I imagine possibly a Game of the Year edition, maybe into this year. It's a little cheaper, has all the stuff with it. Just
go torture yourself with the DLC that's coming out for Elden Ring. I'm sure those new bosses will absolutely obliterate anything that you do with your controller. So
that'll be
do
a while.
that instead.
Well, there's some other game. To me, actually, the Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection. Did you see that? The Battlefront 1 and 2 being remastered for modern consoles with like 64 players online. So spent a lot of time as a kid playing that.
Yeah, we're on like a video game tangent. They're remastering, or what did they call it? Like redrawing or repainting. I forgot
Epic
what
Mini?
word they used. Yeah, for Epic Mickey. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never played that when it came around, so I actually might pick that up.
Yeah, they Nintendo had a direct this weekend. It was pretty good. Some of the Xbox exclusives were coming to Switch. They announced before. Some other games were announced overall, but yeah, absolutely good time for video games. Mike, it's Morbin time. Get your
Oh God, not again.
This March 1st, so the end of this week, Morbius will be streaming on Disney Plus. So it sounds like some of those Sony deals are finally coming through a couple years later. So this movie came out 2 years ago this month, March, if you will. So
wow.
If you want to watch,
what is there
Morbius
left to say about Morbius? Yeah. I don't know if there's anything.
We watch it. Again, after watching Madam Web, it's just boring. Morbius is, but like, it's so funny because I was making shorts for our videos, Mike, and you know this. And one of them we were talking about Morbius, so I had to go find Morbius clips to put in for our short. So
you poor soul.
Yeah, so I was watching the clip where he's testing his Morbius powers, if you will, and I was like, "Oh, this hurts to watch this part again." Like he's testing the bats. He's like, "I have echolocation. How bats see in the dark." Like explaining everything as like we don't know what echolocation is. Boy howdy, that was fun. But yeah, if you haven't watched Morbius and you don't want to spend any money, it'll be free with your Disney Plus subscription already. So you just pop it in the background and watch it. Let's be that. Star Wars actual news, Mike. Well, not news, but like more content news because we haven't had anything new for people who aren't watching the Bad Batch. The Acolyte, which is the High Republic era Star Wars show about the Sith infiltrating the Jedi, is rumored to debut June 5th this summer. We'll probably get a hard date on May the 4th, if you will. The Star Wars Day.
I'm surprised we're getting Acolyte before. I want to call it Runaways. But it's
Skeleton
not
Crew.
Runaways. Yeah, Skeleton Crew. Yeah, because we've actually seen Skeleton Crew stuff. I mean, I know it was more leaked. Yeah. But I feel like we haven't heard much from Acolyte.
Yeah, I think we have I have a whole trailer of the Acolyte too from that. I think it's less CGI intense because there's not one whole CGI character. In the Acolyte, they use makeup, and in camera, I guess, practical effects. But I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how I liked reading the High Republic book I read. Gets us into a new time zone for Star Wars where we're not, we're not affected by anything around us. That'll be interesting. And honestly, again, we're watching the Bad Batch. I know you're not yet. It's the last season, but like that'll end. Bad Batch ends literally, I think, May 3rd or 4th, I said, like the day before Star Wars Day. or right on Star Wars Day. So like this will be good to kind of give us a little month and then kick into some live action stuff because it'll be the first live action thing since Ahsoka, and that was late summer last year, August of last year. So they're giving some breathing time between content over there. Do you remember watching Ahsoka? Oh no!
Don't remind me.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I was just curious because I'm excited for season 2 coming out and all this other stuff. I don't have it here. It's an interesting topic. The Mandalorian movie, Mandalorian Grogu, it reportedly cost less than a season of Mandalorian to make. Like,
oh well, I guess I'm not so surprised really if you think about when we've seen those budgets for the Mandalorian in the past, and everyone kind of at the birth of all of these new streaming things were comparing every budget to Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess if you have multiple of those, you are kind of clocking over a movie pretty quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say a movie 2 hours. That's 4 of the 6 episodes, so it should be cheaper, right? At the end of the day, so
yeah. And also, if you think about it, maybe from like a sales perspective, if you can have a TV show span, if you plan it out just right, 3 monthly payments of a streaming service, that ends up equating to more than the cost of a movie ticket. So, if that's how they're doing it. And then also they're hoping that people, don't cancel, they don't churn through. So,
wait and binge until the end,
Yeah.
Not there's a lot of those, but yeah. So I guess it's interesting that they said it was less, and then I was like, kind of math kind of adds up if you look at time to production to that. But anyway, Marvel Zombies, the animated show coming to Disney Plus eventually, will debut Mahershala Ali's Blade, Mike, because he is rumored to as one of the leads of the show and has voiced the character. That's what the rumors say.
I mean, do we think this is intentional? Or
I don't think so.
Do we because I feel like this the character was supposed to exist in live action beforehand, right?
Well, yes. So the rumor was always that you can't use them in animation. We don't have them in live action yet. However, Blade suffers from to lack of commitment to release dates. So this movie was supposed to have been out, I think, a year ago. So we are well beyond that. So they probably recorded all this stuff and had planned on it coming out after the movie, but with everything changing with strikes and pandemics and stuff like that, it's probably shifted around quite a bit for this.
I mean, that'll be interesting to see a character debut. I mean, I guess if the brand new character that was invented for What If season 2 ends up crossing over to live action, that'll be a character that debuts there first. So. But
I would say the Watcher as well, if they end up bringing the Watcher in.
I guess, the Watcher. But we did kind of get to see a semblance of that race of characters in live action.
Yeah, but it's like a blink and miss it cameo. Like, I don't know if anyone else would equivalent that to, like, premiering. So if that actor comes back and voices it in the movie Secret Wars, maybe.
Yeah. Now, what would be absolutely crazy is if this is indeed voiced by Mahershala Ali, and then like the movie deal just falls through and they end up recasting. So Mahershala Ali does do Blade, but only in this animated show. It'd be so odd.
Yeah, I don't think it will, but I think it'll be cool come through. But like, I'm glad they're at least putting Blade in the Marvel Zombies thing because he seems like the most of all the Marvel characters that we know coming out. He seems the most equipped to handle with zombies.
Head chopping. I mean,
he's got a sword. He's got swords. He knows how to do vampires. So absolutely, he probably know what to do in that. So I'm excited to see that show. It's a lot of theory on that one when it comes out, but we'll maybe it'll be a Halloween release this year. The Fantastic Four. I know we talked to death last week with the casting announcements, but the rumor that came out later this week from, I guess, scoopers, if you will, said that the movie will take place across 2 timelines. And this can be taken 2 ways, Mike. Neither of these are confirmed. One is it's going to be like the 1963-64 era and do flashbacks to powers rather than starting off with how they get them. But like, hey, we're already existing characters, and then they show you how they get the powers over time, right? Which is great. Or it could be a modern thing and then flashback to the 60s, a la like similar to Captain America, the First Avenger, how it starts off in the modern time and then bounces back. So
yeah, I mean, we were proposing the idea last week that the movie could primarily take place in the 60s, and then your third act, at the end of your third act, similar to the Captain America: The First Avenger, he gets frozen, and then in the last 5 minutes, he shows up and with Nick Fury in that undisclosed location in New York City. So that's kind of what I was mentally expecting.
That's kind of how I would take it too. I mean, again, edits can change a lot of things, right? Script can have one thing, edits can say another. So if it doesn't feel right, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about, right? Having two different eras in one movie, no matter how they put them down there. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited for this. I know they're going to be filming soon, so if we get more information, we'll share with you guys. Apparently, the guy who was cast as the Thing, Evan Moss-Backrack, he's apparently was told they were wanting him for the Thing last August, so he's known for since last summer even. So none of these were under the wire lately.
Yeah, and he's been kind of chatting a little bit recently. I don't know if he's gone through the Marvel non-disclosure agreement just yet, but he was quoted saying that they're going to primarily be doing the Thing in CG.
Yeah.
So I was kind of hoping maybe for a mix of practical and CG, but also I'm not surprised. So at least we might have that one answered.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays off in scheme. Again, a lot of the suits, Iron Man suits, other suits, they all look realistic, right? Thanos, complete CG character. It'll be fine at the end of the day. Now, Mike, you said at the top of the show you've never played a Borderlands game before. Is that true?
I ain't never played a Borderlands once. The only thing I know about the game, I think two things, is the art style is pretty distinct. They got a lot of kind of hard outline, comic book outlines.
Very cell shaded.
Got a very graphical style. Yeah, cell shaded. That's a great way to put it. And also, I don't know if it invented the term looter shooter or if it popularized the term looter shooter, but I know it's a looter shooter.
Yeah. So absolutely. So Borderlands is a game trilogy from Gearbox. Came out, those are mid to late 2000s. I would say 2000, maybe 7 or 8. And essentially you go to this planet called Pandora, and you are a vault hunter. You were searching for the mythical vault, which, is where all the treasure is on the planet. And so you go through and you go across Pandora, which is full of a wasteland, full of junkers, cars, and people with all sorts of crazy types of guns. You get new guns with new mods and abilities, and then you kill animals and raiders, essentially crazy caricatures of people as you go towards the vault. The game spawned Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3, a game called a pre-sequel, which is a prequel to that. And then I think there's even a Telltale game, Tales from the Borderlands, where it does the storyline stuff and all sorts of things. It's gone across several generations of consoles. I played from the first game all the way through the third one, and they think they're going to announce the fourth one next month at PAX in March. So we'll see if they do another one. But years ago they announced they're going to make a video game of it with Eli Roth, and we finally get our first trailer of this video game to watch this week. And one thing my wife said, she's watched Borderlands, she knows what Borderlands is. She's like, oh, I didn't know they were making a movie. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of famous people in this movie. And I was like, yes, there is. There are tons of big names in here, including Cate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, Ariana Greenblatt, who's only recently crossed our radar in Avengers Infinity War, Barbie, and Ahsoka, and Jack Black as well.
Yeah, even I don't know much about this game, but I have seen is it Claptrap? Is that the name of the
Claptrap? Yes, the little robots are Claptraps.
Yeah, so somehow droids can transcend media, and I always know about them, even though I've never experienced them myself. I thought the trailer was fun. Obviously, you can tell whatever marketing department or company was tasked with this job really channeling the Guardians of the Galaxy vibe.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm going to pause you because the game, if you go watch the intro for the very, very first game, the song No Rest for the Wicked by Cage the Elephant, they used it before it was popular, before it had hit mainstream, and they have the same Splash style intros for all the characters in that game. So I would even say Guardians of the Galaxy borrowed from this game to that. because that's how they do the splash screens when they introduce villains and other heroes that you're playing on that. It's also a 4-player game. I forgot to put that, so that's why all these characters in there, because it's a 4-player game. But anyway, continue with your experience. But I want to say everyone has said that, but I'm like, no, actually, they had the popular radio songs and like the splash screens well before.
It's hard not to draw the comparison.
Yep, absolutely.
Because even though you could say Borderlands is an extremely popular video game franchise, I think Guardians of the Galaxy as an IP has maybe reached more eyes out there in the world. But yeah, I thought the trailer was fun. I have no idea if the casting is effective or not compared to what is in the game. But everyone seems like they're riffing off each other, having a fun time. I don't know if this is weirdly refreshing or not, but usually I feel like in these movies there's some sort of like, super famous, like super attractive like bombshell that's usually they just slap on the screen all over the trailers, and everyone really seems to be more like rooted in their roles of like, oh, this is kind of like a Mad Max style universe. There's no like excessive like cleavage or like skimpy body armor. I don't know why I picked up on it now, even though I'm usually not looking for it, but so at least I feel like they're kind of being true to the story they're trying to tell, possibly. So I like that. The visuals seem fun. The energy seems to be kinetic. I saw some people online saying that the Kevin Hart casting seems kind of crazy. I guess he doesn't resemble the character much, but it doesn't really bother me because I don't really know what it's supposed to be. But yeah, this looks surprisingly fun, and I'd like to see it.
What I like about Borderlands is the comedy in it has always been a very rude comedy, if you will. And you kind of get it from the trailer where two things. One, they're talking about the piss in the window. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So absolutely, that's very like, you're not expecting that in like a normal action movie, right? Like, so like they're talking about, aliens peeing in the windows, and then Jack Black, he said he can't go, and when people are looking at him, he's like, oh wait, never mind. So he's like, to me, he's channeling his Tropic Thunder character a little bit in this role when he's coming through, but like the humor in these are very rude and crude along the way. So you got to see a couple other characters. There's Mad Moxie, who runs like a casino. She's in one shot. Like, I don't know who's playing her, but like it's very action packed, and knowing this Eli Roth, who is known for his horror things, I believe this is R-rated as well. We're gonna get some explosions and body damage like we do in the games. Like, people literally explode if you hit them with rockets in the game, kind of thing. So like, I'm excited to be in this brutal world and see how it works. The story, the characters, like, this story does not exist in the games. Like, this is like an alternate universe version, if you will, which doesn't bother me at the end of the day. They have the right characters to have a good story, I think, at the end of the day. So to me, I'm excited. I'm looking to have some fun with it. I did say the one thing I did include here is one character poster that pokes fun at Madam Web. The Kevin Hart poster says, "Meet Roland. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died." On the official thing. So, boy, the other ones don't have anything like that. They literally tell you who they are. So this was a pretty low blow across it, if you will. But seems to be a stat cast and a good time. So as long as I'm already sold. I played the games. I understand it. Even if it's different, I get the Borderlands universe. So I'm glad to hear that you're like, oh, this is different. You're on board with it a little more than
even some of the stuff in the trailer seems like a little cringy, like when the character with the bazooka says like, mine's bigger than yours. Usually something that I would just do a total eye roll at, but the world, at least that they're presenting me with, it seems like something like that kind of belongs, because it seems to be very heightened just in general. So yeah. This kind of actually gives me a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons vibe, that movie. I don't remember what the official subtitle of that movie was.
Honor Among Thieves.
Something Honor Among Thieves, yeah. Like, maybe that's what we're going to get out of this, like a fun ensemble, from an IP that, is popular, but maybe not super widely, adapted. So, yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it looks like a good, like, an unlikely team of people crossing the desert with guns rather than magic, if you will, at the end of the day. So absolutely. And it comes out August 9th, so late summer this year. That'll be a good into summer cap, if you will, for films. Lastly, we got a quick just update for The Boys season 4 poster confirming June 4th on Amazon Prime, Mike. So it says, and I quote, "Break out the fucking confetti." So cool. That's exciting, right?
Break out the confetti and also break out your additional $2.99 a month if you want to watch it without commercials now. So that's rough.
On top of what you were already paying, which is free. It's free
Yes.
plus commercials now. But yeah, absolutely. Boys season 4. What was the other show on Netflix? The Umbrella Academy season 3 is supposed to end this year as well too. Sorry. So with their final season 4, I think season 4 this year as well. So been about 2 years since we had an original season of The Boys, not the spinoff. So we're a little overdue for it. We'll see how this goes. I know they said that they might be confirming season 5 sooner or later on The Boys, but I don't know how much longer that show has in its tank, right? Like at this point, like other shows, Invincible, stuff like that, they're gearing up, they're kind of taking its place. Do you think, how many more seasons of The Boys do you have in you, Mike, before you're like...
I mean, I gotta hope, since The Boys is helmed by Seth Rogen's production company, Point Grey, right? I'm not making that up. That's what it is, right?
No, I don't think it's Seth Rogen.
I swear I thought it was his production company, Point Grey, because they went on from Preacher to The Boys. I'm pretty sure.
Let me. I'll pull it up. It's fine. So I know he's a producer. I don't know if it was. Yeah, no, the Point Grey's. Well, okay, there's 8 production companies. They are one of them.
Okay, gotcha. They also have their hands in Invincible as well. But I gotta hope that they at least would have the sway, the storytelling acumen to go, okay, this is a good place to end it. We don't want to overstay our welcome. We don't want to strain the fan base and the audience. Let's not overdo it. Let's not make this another The Walking Dead.
Right. Yeah, and they did that with the Preacher. They had Preacher beforehand. They ended it after, I think, 3 seasons. And the book's done. Like the stuff they're adapting is done. So maybe they could do 5 and be done, because I think this show's been going since 2019. If we're looking at 2 years between production, it'd be 2026 before we even get season 5 at this rate. So hopefully they're able to, like you said, see that light at the end of the tunnel and make their own decision to end it rather than having somebody else do that. But yeah, we'll keep you guys posted as that gets closer to coming out later this summer. Mike, that's it for the episode this week. We've got nothing else. Did you finish
your K-Wave?
It's almost done. Like, I'm at the bottom. I was, kind of savoring it throughout here. So I'll finish it while you tell us where people can find you at.
Yeah, they can find me and my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch you, hopefully with that Dune popcorn bucket, and
I don't want to be caught with what I'm doing that Dune popcorn bucket.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN87, or Video Game Systems of the same name. If people want to know more about the show, what we're doing, where they can subscribe to us at, where they can get that information at.
As always, just go visit superheroslate.com. That is the domain that we own and where we put stuff. That's the most bare way I can put it. We got an upcoming release calendar on there of the movies and the TV shows that we're looking forward to talking about. We got awesome show notes that are really, really helpful of keeping track of everything that's going on. I'm curious what would happen if we put all the show notes in an AI, Chris, and asked it to predict the news. Maybe we can see how smart it is, because we do see repeating patterns here after doing this show for so long. But you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Are you drinking some extra flavored Coca-Colas?
Yeah. What's your flavor of choice today over in the drink world?
Yeah, we want to know. And we love our super fans. If you want to be a super fan of Superhero Slate, it's so easy to do. All you have to do is share this show with a friend, share this show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.